Absolutely.
It's always flexibility and grace and patience.
Okay. I'm ready.
So that light should get you.
This background look
Okay, there you go. Are we on now? Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our second Mount Diablo Unified School District Town Hall meeting. I'm Dr. Rob Martinez. If you're joining a few minutes late, we've had a little bit of technical difficulty, but I believe we're on now and people should be able to hear us and see us. So we're going to continue. This is our second in a series of town hall meetings that are designed to provide information about the district's response to the coronavirus, COVID-19. This is our 11th day in Mount Diablo Unified School District without students due to having our campuses closed. The district did make the difficult decision, as with many of our other East Bay school districts, to close our campuses through May 1st, 2020 at this point in time. We understand that this creates a significant impact on our students, on our educators, on our families, and yet again it's the small part that we are playing in this larger pandemic, and so we are working to stay within the governor's executive orders of expanding learning opportunities. So today we'll be talking to our Executive Director of Instructional Support, Jennifer Sachs, and receiving some information about our continuation of programs. We'll also have the opportunity to speak to Isabel Lara, our community liaison for the district. In fact, Ms. Lara will be doing some translation for us as well. So we're going to pause at different times throughout this presentation and have her give a little bit of information. Isabel, please.
Buenas tardes, queridas familias del distrito de Mount Diablo. Es un honor estar aquí con el doctor Robert Martínez, que es nuestro superintendente. Esta es la segunda oportunidad que nos reunimos aquí para darles la información de lo que sucede aquí en el distrito. Mediante la transmisión podré traducir parte de lo que se va a hablar hoy y vamos a continuar.
Gracias. Today, both Ms. Sachs and Ms. Lara will give information about our educational opportunities and the extension of those programs. We'll get to that in just a bit. And we'll also be sharing information about some of the community supports that are there specific to, again, the areas of food and making sure that our families have that sustenance or opportunities to be supported in that manner. So we'll share a little bit about that. I mentioned that this is our 11th day of closed school campuses. And again, I offer my sincere appreciation to our food and nutrition services workers who have provided over 20,000 meals over these past 10 days to our students. They've made a commitment, as we have, to sustain those feeding programs the best we can for as long as we can in a safe and secure manner. We are aware that the public health departments have called for an even more significant physical distancing program, and so we are changing some of our protocols to ensure that The delivery or the transfer of food from our district facilities to cars, to individuals coming to pick it up, is done in a safe manner. So we'll be working to modify some of those procedures. Again, not seeking to limit access, but to make sure that our employees and our community members are safe. We will be continuing our meal program through Thursday of this week. Friday does happen to be a district holiday, and so we will not be having those food programs open on Friday, but the idea is that on Thursday there'll be food available for the following day. So please come and participate in those programs, again, tomorrow and Thursday. Next week is the official spring break for the district. We will resume services for the feeding programs on Monday, and we will again work for 4 days next week to give those programs, gives food out to our students. We will be updating the website to make sure that we have the exact locations. During the spring break time, we may be pulling back on several locations, but again, we want to make sure and get that information out to individuals. Isabel, did you want to translate?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Entonces, más que nada, el doctor Martínez quiere agradecer muchísimo al Departamento de Nutrición y Comida de nuestro distrito y su personal que estaba haciendo un trabajo extraordinario. La señora Sachs nos va a estar hablando de los programas educativos de todo el distrito. Pero regresemos un poquito para hablar acerca de la distribución de comida del distrito escolar. Todos los días he estado ofreciendo la comida para nuestras familias y nos alegramos que las familias vayan y recojan los alimentos para sus niños. 20,000 comidas, 20,000 serían 20,000, se ha servido 20,000 comidas durante todos estos días que hemos estado trabajando y sirviendo a los estudiantes. Lo que queremos hacer es seguir sirviendo. Por favor, sigan llegando a sus escuelas para que obtengan sus alimentos, sus niños. Entonces, recuerde que estamos sirviendo a todos los niños bajo 18 años. Y otra cosa que el doctor Martínez decía es que el día viernes, este viernes no va a haber distribución de comida, pero el día jueves van a poder recibir la comida para el viernes también. Pasando a la próxima semana de las vacaciones de la primavera, ¿verdad? El spring break, no habrá servicio de comida, pero dice que nos vamos a asegurar para continuar ese servicio. No sabemos en qué escuelas todavía. So it would be just in some
Monday
sites
through Thursday, yes.
for next week,
Yes.
the spring break.
Yes, we believe Cambridge, Meadow Homes, in the Monument Quarter for sure. And again, we will have the
Okay,
information on the
entonces
website.
más o menos, ¿verdad? Como Meadow Homes y Cambridge en la parte de nuestra área de la Monument. Y luego vamos a darles también más información que ustedes podrán verlo en la página del distrito.
Thank you, Isabel. I am getting word that again, some individuals are saying they cannot hear the audio, so I'm going to have our technicians check again to make sure that in fact our audio is going through. Okay, we're getting confirmation, so again, if you cannot hear us, please do send in an email to townhall@mdusd.org. Somebody might have sent an email from an earlier viewing. There is a live viewing right now that we hope people can hear us. One of the other aspects that we wanted to talk about and give some information is that over the last week, the district has provided over 4,500 devices to students across the district. And we've continued to reach out from each of our schools through the principals to try and make sure that any student who needs a device has access to that device. So again, if someone you know or yourself is still needing a device from your school, we ask you to reach out to the principals directly or to, again, the site staff there. Sometimes the teachers are translating this information or transferring the information to the principals. We want to have individuals who need a device be able to access a device. So that's one of the big initiatives that we have, is getting more devices into the hands of students who need them. So we also have information about low-cost internet services on our website, and we've sent out information via email and posted it as well in different areas on social media. So I'm going to have Isabel share about our devices, the 4,500 that we've put out there thus far.
Entonces, hasta ahora hemos distribuido 4,500 tabletas, o le llaman Chromebooks. Eso es para los estudiantes que han pedido la ayuda y que no tienen la computadora en la casa. Queremos asegurarnos que todos los estudiantes que necesiten este aparato tan importante como es la computadora o el Chromebook, que nos dejen saber, por favor. También lo que pueden hacer es contactar a su director de la escuela. Muchos de los estudiantes, especialmente de la escuela primaria, los padres de familia están en contacto con los maestros. Eso es algo muy importante. Los directores de las escuelas quieren escuchar de nuestras familias, así que si necesitan las computadoras. ¿Okay? Si no saben con quién contactarse y tienen esa duda, por favor, comuníquense también en la página de nuestro distrito, y también pueden dejar un mensaje, comunicarse conmigo, y ahí está la información. Otra cosa, el servicio de el internet. Muchas de nuestras familias a veces tienen dificultad pagando por este servicio. Tenemos ahora trabajando con una compañía que nos va a ayudar a ofrecer ese servicio a nuestras familias a bajo costo. Y eso también, toda esa información va a estar en nuestra página del distrito.
Thank you, Isabel. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and transition now to Ms. Sachs sharing with us some of the information about our extended learning programs. The only thing that I would start out with is that, again, this has been our 11th day without students on campus. This has been an absolutely unprecedented, expected turn of events for our district. No one could have anticipated that we would be in an extended time away from having our students on campus, and the importance of using devices in this digital manner. And so our employees have truly responded in an admirable way. We had not been getting ready to just turn the switch and have everybody have full access to an online learning platform. So we have been moving quickly and steadfastly in a way to advance these educational opportunities. And so right now, again, in the 11th day, it'll look different than the 21st day, but we're going to get that experience. So again, I'm going to have Ms. Sachs share with us some of the things that are in place right now, and as we look to the future, how we're extending those learning opportunities.
Thank you, Dr. Martinez. I just absolutely need to agree with his statement about thanking the administrators, the teachers, counselors, support providers, classified staff, everyone that has really been helping us over these last 11 days to really support our families and our students in this new environment. It's not something, if you would have asked us 3 weeks ago, that we would ever envision we would be in this situation, yet here we are. And we are handling it to the degree we can, with guidance that often changes from state and local officials day to day. So week one, as I actually spoke about at our last town hall, we were involved in pushing out information, resources, links to our families. It was an immediate closing of schools. We were not predicting it, and it was something we knew our families needed, something that they can have access to. So our school sites, as well as our district office, did what they could during that first week. We were working along with our teachers union in order to determine what that structure would look like after week 1. And so at that point, we put together more of a structure for distance learning, where we provided suggestions on distance learning plans, as well as training on Google Classroom, on some other online platforms, in order to provide, again, a bit more structure to how do we utilize these resources, and how might a student's day look like, how might a week look like. As we're moving into week 3, to what Dr. Martinez said, with regard to the devices being provided to families, and that was a huge effort also by our Teamsters unit, who really helped with some of the cleanings of the devices, making sure that they were all in working order. Those went out to families, and our last count, there was over 21,000 logins to the .net, which is actually a way that our students get online going through a filtered district service in order to access instruction. At this point, we're really looking at week 3 and beyond. What does this mean for distance learning into the future? As I said previously, we continue to receive guidance from State Superintendent Tony Thurman, State Board of Education Linda Darling-Hammond, as well as direction from our County Office of Education and what that might look like. So as we're moving forward, additional information has been provided to our school sites on things such as how do we provide more virtual instruction for our students. This might look like a teacher identifying a learning target or goal. This might be a preview of what the students want to learn more about, or it might be something that it's a reteaching opportunity. Then moving into what is that preparation of learning looking like? It might be the teacher on a Zoom call. We've seen many examples of that. It might be an actual link to, let's say, something that's a reteaching on Khan Academy, which some of our other more secondary teachers are utilizing. But what does that instruction look like for that student as well as the family on the content that they're taking a look at? And then how are we supporting that learning or that reteaching or that review? And usually that's a way we engage our students. Is it an assignment? Is it maybe a student, orally presenting something on a Google Chat? Might it be something of a blog, the student typing something to the teacher so they can review it? So we're giving different thoughts, ideas, activities, resources, suggestions, and we have weekly updates that go out to our school sites and our teachers on these different topics. Really, we have 2 main goals at this point in time, and the first is just to make sure that our students and our families are able to access content and instruction. And then 2, making sure they have access to their teacher and their staff. As I'm sure you've seen and you've heard, and I mentioned during our last town hall, our staff are missing our students and our families terribly. And we know that our students can't wait to see the teachers either online or when they go to pick up their lunches. But we're also very sensitive that we do not want to overwhelm our families at home. There's a lot of pressures that are happening right now, whether or not it's employment, socio-emotional things in the home, or maybe some medical situations that are occurring. So we need to keep that fine line between providing content and instruction, but also being very realistic about the demands that are being placed on our community. Again, we're needing to be very nimble, very patient, have a lot of grace with one another as we receive guidance from the California Department of Education. A bit of an update with regards to our special education plans. During this school closure time, it's important to mention that our case managers, our support providers, and classroom teachers are working together to address any barriers for our students within this new distance learning context. Some examples might be phone consultations. Another might be providing more accessible materials to the families at home, or maybe alternative assignments. So all this is being looked at, and presently staff is working on developing procedures aligned with new guidance in order to address timelines and that sort of thing within that realm of our service. Lastly, I just want to say how amazed and proud I am with the flexibility and growth of our Mount Diablo staff. A couple things that have popped up as I've been talking to teachers and administrators. Simple actions such as principals acknowledging perfect attendance all the way up through when school closed, and how much that meant to students as they saw that on, I think it was Facebook Live. or a virtual spirit week put out by a teacher. Students couldn't be on campus in order to wear pajamas or tell their favorite joke, but we were doing that in a virtual sense. And lastly, one of our continuation high schools acknowledged that due to the work that 2 students, Holly and Marcos, that they submitted, they were actually able to graduate from one of our continuation high schools. So the work continues. Again, thank you to our Mount Diablo community at large for your patience and understanding as we work together during these challenging times, because we're really trying to provide a quality distance learning opportunity for our students and families, as we're also trying to kind of navigate these very unfamiliar waters in this sheltering in place and this pandemic situation.
Now, I know that's a lot because we tried to give you a full scope of many things happening. But Isabel, I don't know if you can summarize a little bit.
So
a few
next
of
time
the
we're
big
going to do is
things.
shorter chunks of information.
Yes.
But everything is so important. It's like I wanted to translate every word because everything is very relevant to what the families are needing. And so I'm going to do my best to just summarize that. If not, people will meet me with some tomatoes out there. Entonces estamos hablando, la señora Sachs está hablando acerca de cómo en tan poco tiempo hemos podido pasar de lo que éramos antes, de estar tener todo en orden, todo el mundo sabía qué es lo que tenía que hacer, y ahora todo el personal, las familias, los estudiantes han pasado a otro lugar para seguir aprendiendo. Entonces, esto es un curso de cambio para todos. Lo que dijo el doctor Martínez anteriormente, cuánto aprecia a los directores, a todo el personal de la escuela, ¿verdad? A todo el personal del distrito. También dijo eso la señora Sachs. Es increíble cómo todo el mundo está tratando de hacerlo mejor para poder servir a nuestros estudiantes. Algo que mencionó la señora Sachs hace un rato era que 21,000 veces los estudiantes han entrado al sistema escolar del distrito para tener acceso a la educación. Y pueden entender mucho de lo que digo. Se ha estado también comunicando muy directamente con el estado, con nuestro superintendente de estado y también con el condado, con la oficina del condado, la oficina de educación del condado. Es increíble también cómo los maestros se han ingeniado para poder tener esa conexión con los estudiantes. Por ejemplo, por medio de Zoom se están conectando con ellos. Es una manera de seguir esa conexión. Y otra cosa también que mencionó la señora Sachs es que hay 2 puntos en donde que estamos ahorita, de lo que estamos hablando. El primero es el contenido de la instrucción. Entonces, ¿qué se está enseñando a los estudiantes? Y el segundo es cómo nuestros estudiantes están teniendo ese contacto con los maestros. Es muy, muy importante. Y algo también que señaló es lo paciente que tenemos que ser y cómo todos estamos trabajando juntos. En la parte de la educación especial también se está sirviendo a nuestros estudiantes con diferentes maneras de aprendizaje. Están viendo cómo es lo que trabaja mejor, qué es lo que el estudiante necesita para poder seguir cambiando de cómo se está enseñando. Cosas tan pequeñas también como, por ejemplo, los directores dando el reconocimiento a los estudiantes, ¿verdad? En diferentes ocasiones hace que este sentido de positivismo continúe y queremos seguir así. Gracias. Thank you.
What I'd like to do now is just look at several of the questions that we've received about our educational programs before we get into a more detailed conversation about some of the community service processes. So one of the questions was, well, can we have all the teachers in essence on Zoom or make videos for the teaching process? And what I would say is that we are looking at a variety of avenues to, again, extend our learning programs. While Zoom has been one of those things that has been out there, we are also sensitive to some of the privacy rights that are concerning for our students through the Zoom process. We have been working with Zoom as a company, as many other districts, to have some trials start. But again, there's protocols that we need to really work through to make sure that we're protecting our students as we move forward. One of the designs in distance learning is having teachers actually record themselves as they're doing a lesson. Again, doing a lesson in front of a camera or in front of a laptop is very different from being up in front of your room where you have multiple layers of resources. So it is a challenge sometimes for an individual who's home to get that same quality of process. But again, we are supporting many of the risk takers that are out there, our teachers, in finding different ways to use other resources than themselves and assigning those resources to the Google Classrooms that we have. We see that there's going to be a need for consistency in several platforms as we move forward. So that's something that, again, we'll be working on with our educational Medea, our Teachers Association, with our Educational Services Department, to make sure we're all coordinating that and building the skills of our teachers, while at the same time having information accessible to our students. So.
El doctor Martínez habla acerca de los protocolos que debemos seguir para proteger la privacidad de los estudiantes. Esto es muy importante. Hemos estado trabajando con Zoom y ahí está la preocupación de poder resguardar la identidad de nuestros estudiantes. Estamos trabajando también con los maestros y ellos están grabando sus lecciones para que luego se pueda compartir con los estudiantes. En lo que estamos aprendiendo, tal vez más adelante van a haber otras plataformas de cómo los estudiantes pueden recibir el servicio.
Thank you. Another question has come up about graduation, and I'd be remiss if I told you we had an answer at this point in time. Our executive director, Ms. Sachs, talked about us working with our California Department of Education, the governor's office, our state board of education, really looking holistically in some decisions that will impact all of California. In fact, I believe the governor in his press conference today kind of ended his conference call with that same kind of statement, that we are working together, that we need to find some and make some decisions that will impact all California students in the same process, so we don't have too much variety occurring across the state. If in fact we can hold graduations, we will. But also, in fact, if an extension occurs that keeps us out of school through graduation, we'll have to see what else can be done to acknowledge the success of our students. Not one of us wants to have our students harmed by this impact of coronavirus. Those students that have been working for years to obtain their graduation and look to go to college. I know at the state schools and the UC schools and many of our other college platforms are looking at how they will work with our graduating seniors to accept and understand. And this will impact all of our students across California, not just Mount Diablo Unified School District students. So we're looking at the issues of graduation. If in fact we have to extend out not having students at school and what that means, but again, it's something that we'll be tracking and making decisions and getting information to people.
El doctor Martínez está hablando acerca de las graduaciones y las preguntas que nuestras familias tienen acerca de este importante evento de los estudiantes, que dice el doctor Martínez que tantos años les han llevado trabajando para llegar a ese punto de recibir su diploma. Todavía no tenemos el resultado o no sabemos qué es lo que va a pasar y seguimos trabajando directamente y conjuntamente con y escuchando a ver que nuestro gobernador qué es lo que se decida acerca de las graduaciones.
Another question that's been asked is, How will our teachers know if our students are making progress? Will they be doing formative assessments? Will they be really monitoring the growth of each student? And again, this is a challenging time. What we are looking to do is, as our teachers continue connecting with students, whether that is one-to-one conferencing, whether it is through a Google Classroom or a Hangout or what have you, we do anticipate that the teachers will be able to see some of that growth that's occurring, really the progress monitoring of our students moving forward, so that as we do conclude this year, as we continue on in the next several weeks, we'll be able to work with parents, getting them information about the successes of our students. I have to say, having this asynchronous learning that will be occurring through distance learning is not the same thing as being able to see a child in a classroom for 6+ hours in a day and work with them to see their overall growth. So we'll be working again to determine the best ways to provide feedback to parents. For our elementary students, it quite frankly isn't necessarily about a grade at this point. It's about continuing the education for every one of our students from where they are and learning new skills, focusing on those standards, and excelling to a point where they'll be ready to return and ready to pick up their new learning. And so it's going to be a challenge, but we'll seek to meet it.
El doctor Martínez hablaba acerca de cómo los maestros pueden tener idea de que si nuestros niños están avanzando o están aprendiendo, si están pasando de un nivel a otro. En esa área lo que va a suceder es que van a tener quizá conferencias, ya sea por teléfono también, para ver cómo va el progreso. Eso es lo que se refiere, ¿verdad?, en la escuela primaria. Lo que queremos es que los niños ya estén listos para pasar a la escuela intermedia y a los grados más altos.
One more question that I'll answer before we move on. Someone has asked, well, should our students be, in essence, on a set schedule that every day they kind of start school in front of a screen and be there for 6 hours, you know, moving forward in education? And again, the answer is no. The answer is no. These are different times than what we would normally expect from our children. There is anxiety in the air. It's within our homes. It's within the media, and really they can't see their friends and kind of, you know, experience the playtime and the fun that is about being together. And so it is completely unrealistic for us to think that we take children and we can put them in front of a device for hours on end and actually receive successful education through that time. You as parents know that's not realistic. We have to work, again, differently. We have to work to think about how do we help each child grow? How do we give some level of consistency? Absolutely. So there should be some reading time at home. There should be, let's check in with the teacher time at home. There should be, this is quiet studying time and working on lesson time. But each family has really got to find that out, and each teacher's going to find that out. We can give out some schedules that'll be structured in a way to have consistency, but again, we have to be realistic given that each family is different, each family circumstance is different, each family's access to devices and internet is different. And so, again, I think our executive director said it, flexibility, nimbleness, being able to take the structure that we're providing and make it your own for your family is going to be very important here, rather than feeling that each family must adhere to a schedule that is arbitrarily set by someone else. And I just, from a personal point of view, again, as a father, knowing and working with children, my own children and others, you have to find what's authentic and real for you in connecting with your own children. And again, if you're feeling that all we're going to happen out of this particular lesson is frustration or anxiety, the fallback to go read a book is always a good fallback. That's okay. It really is okay. Isabel?
Qué buen mensaje. Lo que acabamos de escuchar es que a veces hay una pregunta que dice, ¿debo tener a mi niño 6 horas seguidas al frente de un monitor para que pueda tener acceso a su educación? Pues ahorita estamos pasando por estos momentos que no esperábamos antes, y no puede ser esto realista, tenemos que ser muy realistas en lo que está pasando. Y el doctor Martínez decía que cada familia es única y cada familia tiene sus maneras de trabajar con sus hijos. Entonces, si usted ve que va a ser lo mejor por un rato que su niño esté leyendo o que esté trabajando en una lección o conectándose con los maestros, son diferentes cosas que usted puede ver en lo que su niño pueda trabajar, ¿verdad? Otra vez regresamos a hablar acerca de la flexibilidad de cada familia. ¿Qué es lo que trabaja mejor para usted y sus niños? También lo que queremos es que usted vea lo que está pasando alrededor, qué es lo auténtico, qué es lo real, porque no queremos que esto sea una causa de que a los niños se le pongan más, que le dé más preocupación, ¿verdad? O a ustedes que tengan más estrés. Y teniendo en cuenta todo lo que está pasando y siendo más flexible, ustedes van a tener una mejor posibilidad de poder hacer esto por un tiempo un poco más largo mientras pasamos por esta situación.
Thank you, Isabel. We're going to go ahead and continue now to speak a little bit about some of the community resources that we have. Again, we have mentioned about the continuing programs for feeding, but I wanted Isabel to share a little bit about what we're doing with some of our other community partners and supporting our families out in the community. Isabel.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Martinez. So I would like to say this in English, and then I will share that in Spanish as well, because we are servicing all the parents across the district. So we are working in partnership with local churches to serve our community. I think I have the best job of all, because I am able to connect with all the community agencies and the partnerships that we have created with the community themselves, and also with local businesses, connecting the resources to the places where the services are being provided at. So I think it's pretty exciting. I get to live to see those miracles happen every day. So let me share what we're doing to serve the community in Concord. Mm-hmm. So in Concord, we are partnering with the Park Heaven Church, located on Meadow Lane. It's right in the middle of our monument corridor to serve our families. It has been amazing to see all the volunteers coming from the community. So we have many parents coming in to volunteer at the site and to distribute food. So another another thing that I'd like to share is the Monument Crisis Center. Is an amazing organization. It is offering the emergency food distributions 3 times a week, and each week they provide us with a schedule. So they should have something, I think by tomorrow, to let us know what is happening for next week. For this week, on Monday, the 30th, it was a distribution, and yesterday, kind of like got lost. Today is Tuesday. So today, Tuesday, it did happen. They had another distribution, and this coming Friday, they have another distribution from 9 a.m. To 12 p.m. And we are also aware of collaboration taking place now between the Contra Costa Food Bank, the Catholic churches here in Concord, and the City of Concord. And so they are distributing the food on different days as well. So I'm going to offer you what we have coming up.
Great.
And that is for Wednesday, that will be tomorrow, April 1st, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at St. Agnes Church. And on Thursday, April 2nd, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. at St. Francis of Assisi Church. And I am so excited to tell you too that to share with you that we're also servicing the families in Bay Point, and we're partnering with the Bay Church and the White Pony Express. Again, counting on the volunteers from the community as well as from our parents is making this a beautiful work of love to distribute the food to the community. So this is taking place, the distributions are at Riverview and Bel Air. So for now we have Riverview on Tuesdays and Bel Air on Wednesdays. Okay, so I will share this exciting information in Spanish.
Great, go ahead.
Le estaba diciendo al doctor Martínez, ¿verdad? Y a la señora Sachs, que yo creo que tengo el mejor trabajo, porque veo los milagros todos los días. Y si me ven yendo de un lado a otro, conecto los negocios con las organizaciones que están proporcionando la ayuda a nuestra comunidad. Entonces eso es algo increíble. Y también los padres de familia que están ayudando para la distribución de comida. Entonces les voy a compartir qué es lo que está pasando en la ciudad de Concord. Estamos trabajando juntamente con la iglesia Park Heaven, que está en Meadow Lane, está en nuestra comunidad de Monument, en donde nuestras familias pueden caminar para recibir su comida. Pero también de ahí viene mucha ayuda y vienen también los voluntarios que se necesitan diariamente. Esta organización increíble también, Monument Crisis Center, tiene las distribuciones 3 veces por semana y cada semana nos proporcionan el horario para la siguiente semana. Entonces ya ahora estamos en martes, se dio la comida en la mañana, a las 9 de la mañana, y ahora viene el día viernes 3 de abril, de 9 de la mañana a 12 de la tarde. No se necesita ninguna prueba de que vive en cierta ciudad. Usted va y recoge su comida, y estamos muy muy agradecidos por esa gran labor. También sabemos que hay una colaboración de parte de el Banco de Comida de Contra Costa, las iglesias católicas de aquí de Concord, que son San Buenaventura, Reina de Todos los Santos, San Francisco de Asís y Santa Inés. Les voy a compartir lo que viene, que sería el miércoles, el 1 de abril, de 9 de la mañana a las 11 de la mañana en la iglesia Santa Inés. El jueves, el 2 de abril, es de 9 de la mañana a 12 de la tarde en San Francisco de Asís. Y algo más que queremos compartir, que también estamos sirviendo a la comunidad de Bay Point, y tenemos estas organizaciones increíbles como White Pony Express, que está donando la comida. Estamos trabajando juntamente con la iglesia de Bay Church, ¿verdad? Sería como la iglesia de la Bahía, que está sirviendo a nuestras familias. Y la distribución de la comida ahí es de los martes en Riverview y los miércoles en Bel Air. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel.
You're welcome.
Another question that has really just kind of popped up a couple of times, I we don't have the firm answer on this, but I'll give you our best thinking right now. And the question is grading. Grading for really high school students more specifically. What happens to their grades from this point forward for the rest of the semester? And I'll tell you, again, while we're working with the CDE and California Department of Education, State Board of Education, the Governor's Office, the Superintendent of Schools for the state, what the thinking is right now is that having students receive credit for work that they're doing and or potentially no credit if no work is seen is something that we are considering heavily as a decision. We will, as they bringing some recommendations to the school board at their next meeting on April 13th, and we're hoping again that we have more formal guidance from our government agencies so that we make a decision that impacts more than just our students in Mount Diablo. We have heard, and this is a question that some people think, well, they're giving grades in other places. And we have heard that. What our concern is that if in fact you're making a decision as a district to give particular grades, then it is our opinion that you have to be completely assured that every student is receiving really the instruction through the supportive process of having access to the curriculum that they would need to actually be measured for a grade. Or potentially those grades become not so meaningful if you cannot entertain or understand that everybody had the same access. So it's an equity issue. The thinking behind having credit, no credit, is that teachers can still work with students and understand what they're producing, how they're demonstrating competence, how they're demonstrating their understanding of a standard through communication, through a variety of means. And again, in the end-all be-all for receiving those units, as students progress out to the work world, it won't matter tremendously for a letter grade for a particular class. It also, we believe, will not matter dramatically for our graduates who will be ascending into colleges because, again, the colleges are understanding what's happening right now. So while I don't have a hard decision on that, we anticipate that we'll be moving into a credit, no credit process. While some may be disappointed by that because they envision getting a better grade to help a GPA, it's just very difficult to make that decision because it impacts so many of our students. Another question is, and let me have you answer that, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch myself.
Thank you, because this is very, very important too. Everything is important. Una pregunta que ha escuchado el doctor Martínez es acerca de los grados. ¿Van nuestros estudiantes a recibir los grados, sí o no? Lo que nos dice es que está trabajando directamente con el Departamento de Educación de California, tanto como con el gobernador y con el superintendente de las escuelas. Ahora, nuestra preocupación acerca de los grados, dice el doctor Martínez, que para que un estudiante reciba sus grados, tenemos que estar 100% seguros de que los estudiantes están recibiendo el contenido, están teniendo el acceso a la educación que deben tener para poder recibir ese grado. De no ser así, estamos hablando de la equidad, porque hay estudiantes que no tienen el acceso a la información y también al currículo que todos los estudiantes tienen. Entonces, por eso el doctor Martínez expresa su deseo y su opinión de que mejor sería que los estudiantes recibieran, le llaman crédito o no crédito. Quiere decir que van a recibir el crédito, ¿verdad?, por el trabajo que estén entregando o estén produciendo. Ahora, los estudiantes que están en los colegios listos para graduarse y se van a ir a la universidad. Claro que se van a graduar, dado que tengan que pasar ya las pruebas. Could you elaborate a little bit more about the graduation? And I think that is where a lot of many families will have.
As far as an actual ceremony?
No, as far as the credits.
So right now, graduation occurs because of board policy. There are basically markers where every student has to obtain a certain number of credits to reach graduation. There has been no modification to that at this point from the state level, nor the board have we lowered our graduation requirements. So graduation requirements are still in effect. That allows the school district to basically confirm that everybody who leaves the district has the appropriate level of credits and have met the standards as we design them, as the school board designs them. So we haven't lowered that expectation. It's degrading. Oftentimes people feel that they need to have the grades to be able to ascend to a particular college and prove that. But again, for most of our students who are graduating now, the colleges, we understand, will be accepting the grades as they stand because they won't be expecting them to excel to a different level given the coronavirus.
Thank you so much for that clarification. Algo que pregunté al doctor Martínez es acerca de los créditos y cómo se va a saber que los estudiantes están listos para pasar a la universidad. Los créditos, los requisitos no han cambiado, todavía son los mismos. Ahora se entiende que las calificaciones y los créditos que tienen ahora, eso es lo que va a llevar a ver que un estudiante pase para la universidad. Y es una aclaración yo creo que todos queríamos o queremos tener. Thank you.
Thank you. Before we close, I'm just going to turn to my executive director, Ms. Sachs, to see if there's anything else you'd like to add at this point.
No, again, we just want to be there as much as possible to support the students and families at home. We've got a lot of resources and information on the district website if families are looking for different access points. Underneath the parent portal, which is on the very top of the district webpage, if you click on there, there are many, many things that could help families as they're home with their students. And as always, please contact your child's teacher or teachers if there's any questions that you might have in order to get immediate assistance.
Okay, la señora Sachs acaba de decir que aquí está para darles el apoyo que ustedes necesitan, pero también quiere aclarar que hay muchas áreas en donde pueden recibir apoyo y vamos a tener información en la página de la comunidad y de los padres, en donde que ustedes podrán tener acceso a la ayuda que necesitan. También les invita a que estén en contacto con los maestros de sus hijos.
And Isabel, anything else you'd like to add or anything that we need to clarify for anybody?
I would just like to say that if there are any concerns or if the community or the families would like us to do something different to provide the support for our families out there, we're here to serve. While we're saying that these are trying times, everybody's very stressed out and nervous, we do have a wonderful organization out there, and it's NAMI, and we can be also uploading some information about that resource and on our parent portal. So, muchísimas gracias. Esto es una buena oportunidad para poder conectarnos, que nos dejen saber cómo podemos nosotros servirles mejor. ¿Qué podemos hacer diferente para poder mitigar, ayudar un poquito más a sus hijos durante este tiempo un poco difícil que estamos pasando? Pero juntos podemos.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we close, I would just like to remind everybody, while our campuses are closed right now because of the precautions that we need to take for social distancing and physical distancing, school is not closed. School is not closed. We want each of our students out there to continue to learn. We want each of our parents and our community members to know that we're here to support, connect, engage as much as we can. For our employees who are, again, really at some levels risking their own safety to make sure our essential services continue, it's a tough time, and we appreciate and value you so much. For our employees who are at home, whose hearts are breaking because they can't be with their students right now, we value you, and every time you call somebody, you email somebody, you take a chance and videotape yourself, put some lessons out there, you're doing the hero's work right now of keeping our students engaged. One of the things that I've said for years is, let's let the life we help others live be the measure of our success. And right now, we need to really continue to turn to each other, to support each other, rather than to turn on each other and make the load heavier for anybody else. So I know you're doing that in your communities. I know you care about the education of your children. And again, we do too. We truly do. So we'll continue on with what we can do to extend learning opportunities. Please, as Isabel said, let us know your feedback. I know some are frustrated that it's not going perfectly, but I'll tell you, it's going forward, and we'll continue to get better, and we'll just persevere through these challenges. And Isabel, I don't know if you can summarize that at all.
Oh,
but-
absolutely.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, and first of all, I'd like to apologize to you because this is not like 100% of translation.
That's
I'm
okay.
doing my best.
No, absolutely.
Entonces lo que en primer lugar le digo al doctor Martínez que me disculpe por la traducción porque no está como 100%. Y por favor, si podemos entender esa parte, ¿verdad? Que queremos dar lo mejor de nosotros. Lo que dice el doctor Martínez es y expresa el aprecio por todo el personal del distrito, ¿verdad? Por toda esa gente que no puede ver a sus niños, que quiere venir a trabajar, por esa gente que está también afuera sirviendo y también poniéndose un poquito en peligro, ¿verdad? Por servir a los estudiantes. Pero dice, sus familias, sus estudiantes nos importan y por eso seguimos haciendo este servicio. Y dijo algo, le voy a pedir que repita porque yo creo que es algo muy bonito lo que dijo y no quiero decir algo equivocado. Could you repeat the saying that you have with the light, okay? Because
Sure.
I think that is very important.
Let the life we help others live be the measure of our success.
Bueno, todavía me quedé un poco perdida, pero dice que está más verdad, dice, deje que su vida, ¿verdad? De servicio sea la luz que nos lleve al éxito. Más o menos va por ahí. La próxima vez les tengo la traducción. Muchísimas gracias. Y
Thank
otra
you.
cosa, si ustedes, los papás, están llamando a mi teléfono de la oficina o el celular, por favor, sepan que los queremos ayudar. Pero tengo buenas noticias. El doctor Martínez ha puesto a consideración para poder trabajar con más personal, para que me pueda ayudar en lo que hago trabajando con la comunidad y con los padres. Thank you so much for letting us work with extra staff that will be helping me to serve the parents. Thank you so much.
Thank you again. I'm sure we'll have another one of these, and we'll try and make sure our technology is moving on forward. So thank you. Please give us your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.